Hello everyone, and welcome back to our Genoa playthrough. Today we continue the war against France alongside our ally of Savoy. So, we've been attacked by a small French fleet. This is dangerously close to a fair fight, and as we all know, fair fights are for suckers. I'm thinking that I'm going to retreat my fleet and hope we can get a better opportunity later.
Ritirata! Ritirata! Gettare l'ancora.
So, now it's a new turn. Our fleet retreated somewhere to the coast of the Italian peninsula. I think near Naples. Oh, no, it's not quite the right spot. Okay, where's our fleet here? No, it's a Venetian fleet. Okay, here's our fleet. Here it is. Okay, so we're going to attack from a bit of an angle to try and get reinforcements from the Savoyard fleet, as they're pretty powerful. So, let's see, we're going to go in. Yes, we got the reinforcements. So we're going to save, just in case there's a crash, and we're going to go straight into the battle. So, we've loaded into the naval battle here. As you can see, I've already put my fleet in formation, and we are headed straight towards the Savoyard fleet. We're going to try and cut around the French fleet. There you can see one of the galleons loading in. These are what I'm counting on to really, give us the edge in the fight. No one likes a fair fight, like I was saying before. And honestly, in naval engagements, it's best to have overwhelming force, especially in this mod. I find that just closing in and getting solid shot broadsides at really close range on enemy ships is the best way to win in this particular mod, because it changes kind of the cannon spread from vanilla. So anyways, you can see we're fast forwarding here just to save on some time. So we're just speeding by the French fleet here, doing some long-range gunnery, and trying to close with our allies. So as you can see here, there's an enemy brig closing in on my two ships. We've also linked up with the Savoyard fleet. I have loaded grape shot on my ships because brigs are extremely vulnerable to grape shot. So our sloop is closed in, and there goes the grape shot. This is going to kill a lot of the crew on the ship, which is very, very helpful. Brigs are extremely vulnerable to that, being open deck with their gun deck like that. So you usually will knock out a lot of guns and you'll cause them to surrender, which is what's happened here. With that in mind, the only French ship left is the Pinnace off in the distance. So we're going to load round shot and close with it. And we're going to go ahead and tell our admiral to fire at will here. There we go. Just going to light them up and keep closing the distance. We've definitely got them severely outnumbered at this point. I mean, the Savoy fleet's quite powerful in comparison to the French fleet. And we're mostly going to just try and avoid taking too much damage to our ships because we can't really afford to repair them at the moment. Try and let Savoy do most of the fighting, to be honest. Maybe not the most honorable thing ever, but, Anyway, we're closing in the distance here. Hopefully, looks like we'll be able to catch them in a nice crosser T maneuver, so we can rake the enemy pennants. Really just put all the... yeah, you can see they're already fleeing right here. And yeah, we're gonna hit continue battle just so we can ensure they surrender. And there we go, close victory. So with that, here's the results. You can see that we captured both French ships, so we're gonna just sell them for prize money. So get a little bit of bonus, and we can repair our ships. And yeah, so we're gonna quickly check to see if we can trade for any technology with our allies, either Savoy or the Papal States. Maybe they have some new tech. And doesn't look like it. So we're gonna quickly check to see what kind of technology, utilitarianism, that's fine. Better tech research. Also just upgrading the barracks here for Corsica to recruit some better units. And yeah, looks like we need to upgrade our fort. We haven't done that yet. So we're gonna go ahead and end turn, get some more cash, and hopefully start that upgrade. Welcome back, everybody. While we've been gone, I've recruited some new musketeers of the line with much better stats to replace my old troops. As you can see here, the stats are better in just about every way, at least as far as gun work. So this is very, very good to have these guys in our army now. You can see that they're going to be replacing the old Crimson Regiment in our fort, which we have also upgraded to an artillery fort from a wooden fort. So we're going to name them in the same style as the Crimson Battalion. And we're going to go ahead and delete these guys. And again, put these guys in the fort and start renaming them. So I'll cut back in a moment. We have the Crimson Regiment, 2nd, 3rd, 4th Crimson Battalion now. So we're going to put them in this fort and move the rest of these newly trained musketeers of the line to replace the Guard Swiss in our other fort that guards the approach from the coast. So, you know, obviously these forts, they guard Genoa, and the Genoa garrison is intended to reinforce each fort. We have built a new barracks in Corsica, and we got some nice new units here, like these carabiners, which are because of the new barracks. They get some garrison policing bonus, which is nice. Anyway, I'm gonna check our tech, still doing utilitarianism. I also want to upgrade our iron workshops by getting coke blast furnace in these techs here after we're done with utilitarianism. Anyway, we're gonna end turn and catch up back with y'all in a little bit when I have something to update you guys on. Hey folks, welcome back. It's been a few turns. Continued to recruit troops and fortify Genoa against the Spanish because they're really making me nervous. I've recruited some cheap provincial infantry or militia and some cannons to occupy that fort that I just put them in there to the right, a little bit to the east. Unfortunately, with all of this, our economy is really under a lot of strain. As you can see here, I'm thinking of replacing those provincial cavalry with some carabinieri, which are quite better. So we're under quite a bit of strain economically, partially because we're not taxing Corsica, but we are taxing Liguria, which you can see there. that being our capital. I'm gonna go ahead and do a little raiding, maybe get the ships to pay for themselves a little bit. But yeah, economy's not great. We're kind of tough, but we have to fortify because I think the Spanish are going to attack pretty soon. On top of that, we might be getting attacked by the Ottomans because, as you can see, they have absolutely crushed the Austrians. So that's kind of worrying. So the French have taken Brussels from the Netherlands. There's a stalemate between France and my ally Savoy. The Spanish are building up a powerful army, which is extremely worrying. They're doing it here in Milan. You can see all these troops here, especially these demi-cannon. The Ottoman Empire has conquered Austria, like I mentioned before, and the Prussians have taken Silesia and Dresden, with the Austrians stuck in Prague here. The Prussians have also taken over a lot of Poland. They've taken Vilnius from them, so they're really doing a lot of damage. The Austrians are weirdly stuck in some Balkan territory, but given that their capital is in Prague, Austria is likely to collapse. This is really bad for us, because if you look, the Ottoman Empire is huge, and they will probably try to attack Corsica. So I think we're going to be building a fort in Corsica soon. As you can see, I'm thinking of maybe taking a French fleet and going from Genoa to Tunis to try and take over the Barbary states. Maybe as a backup, maybe as an expansion sometime in the future, when we have better troops, I think. Because these troops are kind of bad. We need to get down to, like, the drill school to really be able to get better troops, especially the ring bayonet. We really need that to be able to fight the Corsairs, because they really rely on melee. And until you get the ring bayonet, musketeers are kind of crap. We have finally found ourselves a battle with our ally Savoy and myself versus the French. You can see here we are on the left. There's the French army, dead in center. They marched through this valley to try and attack, I think, Savoy's capital. You can see here that the French army is really quite powerful with these cuirassiers, with these pikemen, and these matchlock infantry. But really, the cuirassiers are what's super powerful. Our army is kind of crap. I mean, it's at least as big as the enemy, but a lot of the troops are really just basic. And the only reason we're in this fight is because our provincial militia has reinforced from this port right over here. So we're going to go ahead and save, as always, in case there's a crash. And we're going to go straight into the fight. Hi folks, and welcome to the battle. So as you can see here, Savoy has already loaded in. I'm the reinforcements loading in over here. I'm going to be doing this recording post-battle. I didn't talk enough to my liking during the main recording, so I'm re-recording it. Anyways, you can see here we've got my militia marching in. Gonna go ahead and have them halt for a minute, give them the guard order so that they don't chase troops. These are their stats, you can see here. Militia are kind of crappy. I mean, you know, they're militia. I mean, look, there, the animation you can see right there. Some of them are holding their guns down, some of them on their shoulder like they're supposed to. You know, what can you expect? Anyway, so we've got a second Savoyard army reinforcing here. So the army that spawned, you know, pre-battle for Savoy was their garrison army in their port. And the army that's reinforcing is coming from their capital. Obviously, my militia are coming from my port. And I really just... I'm gonna go quiet. I love the marching sound. If you haven't played this mod, you really should. It's a huge mod. It's like 60 gigabytes. All new visuals, all new sounds, and it really, really shows. Listen, check out these cuirassiers. Actually, I think they're provincial cavalry. Got the banner flying. Really good horses. It's so much better than vanilla. I really quite enjoy it. So, this kind of battle is my favorite. I really like allied battles in general. We've gotten quite a few this campaign, which is really nice. They're kind of rare most of the time. And I also just like battles specifically like this, where I only have a few units that I get to micro. And it's just more enjoyable because I can focus on the individual unit tactics. Pick out the Savoyard pikemen here. So I had a lot of fun in this battle, is the point. It is really enjoyable for me, and you'll get to see some of that soon. So, looks like Savoy is marching to meet France out on this main hill here. This main hill really is decisive because this mod really rewards you for being on the high ground. The way the volley fire from the musketry heads out, you really get a much better advantage. You're more likely to hit the whole enemy formation if you're standing on the top of the hill. Plus you get that morale bonus, right? Still doing vanilla of just being on the high ground. So we've got a lot more troops from Savoy here. We've got the Savoya Regiment, which is a unique unit. We've got some pikemen, and I'm closing in at marching speed with my militia so that I can keep the cohesion up. That's a new mechanic that replaces stamina from vanilla. If you run your troops a lot, they lose cohesion. Oh, check out these musketeers of the guard. Woo, they are dripped out. That is pretty nice. These French troops here. So the AI, as you can see, they tend to walk their troops more. It's good if you walk your troops. I believe you get more stat effect debuffs from running your troops than you do in vanilla in this mod. And we've already made contact here. Dragoons, I believe, or have made contact. I think it's okay. Yep, looks like a marching intercept. These guys on the flank. Savoy is in a skirmish with I think those are chasseurs cheval, French cavalry. They've made melee contact now with these provincial cavalry. And the infantry is trying to give some support with some musket fire. Looks like we own the hill, thankfully. So yeah, at this point I'm trying to intercept this conscripted company of militia. I'm telling my troops not to open fire because, again, this mod changed the way the musket fire works, and you're really only gonna get those devastating hits where you're knocking out enemy units if you get in nice and close, especially with militia. Later in the game, you can really get some impressive results, where you can take out like a third of the enemy infantry regiment with a single volley. because your troops get a lot more accurate with various technology that improves their marksmanship later in the campaign. So again, marching in, keeping the uniform, or excuse me, keeping the I'm blanking for the word. Formation, keeping the formation. And it looks like Savoy's cavalry is really charged into the fight. Yep. They're really, they are going to do a lot of damage to those foot regiments. France might have plug bayonet, but I haven't really seen their units use them. Or the AI use them. Okay, we're going to run our troops in for these last distance as we close. So you can see that they're reacting to the presence of my militia, and they're starting to shoot. Of course, the forest is absorbing some of the bullets, so we're really going in here. We're going to try and open up the width of the regiment so we get more shots off and hopefully light them up. You can see in the background, Savoy is actually fleeing. One of their infantry regiments is fleeing. Okay, here we go. Damn, that was a cool volley. You can see there's a lot of misfires because they're militia, and we've got early tech here. Anyway, as I was saying, one of the Savoy infantry regiments is actually fleeing, so it's good that I'm keeping the pressure off of Savoy's flank and giving their pikemen and other musketeers time to reinforce and fill the gap. So I'm doing a pretty crucial thing here. However, these are just militia. They have bad morale, and they're not resistant to morale shocks, so that's why I'm retreating them before they break. I'm probably not going to be able to keep them in this fight very long, just because of their poor morale. But we're going to try and keep them in, or I did try and keep them in as long as I could, just to really continue to have as much effect as possible on the fight. So I've pulled back my militia unit. I've formed them into a how I put it, less wide and much deeper unit, because this increases their morale. I've told them not to fire so they can reload, and that way I can deliver a more effective salvo while these Savoy pikemen charge those French units over there. As you can see, some Savoy units breaking, some French units breaking, but Savoy is getting reinforcements and France isn't. So, odds seem to favor us just from raw numbers, even though France definitely has the edge in terms of troop quality. In a swirling melee kind of close quarters fight like this, you know, at the end of the day, a sword's a sword and a bullet's a bullet. So it's not going to make much difference. They're not really fighting in a way that their superior training is going to matter. You can see Savoy has the square formation, which is a technology we actually gave them in a trade. That's one of the benefits of... Oh, here we go. Yeah! That's the stuff. I think that was actually a really bad volley. But it looked cool. And it's going to help take the pressure off of the Savoy pikemen. So, if you're looking carefully in the back, you can see that some more Savoy units are breaking. But we just broke those French pikemen, which is very, very good. And it looks like the last of the reinforcements are coming in from Savoy to help fight for this hill. So this is really the make it or break it moment. Either we break the French here, or they break us, and I'm not going to be able to really do anything. So again, turn off fire at will, and it looks like Savoy has successfully maneuvered its troops to sandwich this militia unit, or conscripted company and militia that we've been fighting since the start of the battle. And just looking through it, it's looking kind of rough for my allied army here. I mean, there's some Savoy troops that they're holding back in reserve way over there. But yeah, it looks like we've lost the fight for the hill. That's for sure. So, okay. I believe these troops have reloaded at this point, so we're going to maneuver them to get shots into the back. Make that conscripted company rout. Yep, the French Grenadiers are doing what they do. They're fighting really well in that melee, so it looks like this regiment of Savoy troops, yep, they've broken. You know, they got surrounded on that hilltop, so what are you going to do? And before I even got into position to fire, the conscripted company of Frenchmen broke. And we've got some new, unique Savoy units coming in, and so we lost the top of the hill, but we're still able to contest it. I think we'll be forming a line here. We've got pikemen, I think, versus cuirassiers. That's not bad. Well, we're gonna open fire and try and take pot shots of those cuirassiers. Well, the Savoy regiment's already broken. There we go, we're opening fire. Give the order to target the cuirassiers. It looks like this Vizeret regiment, Vizeret, I suppose, of French troops is pushing in. We're going to enable the plug bayonet and do as much damage to these guys as we can. These guys are high-quality musketeer units, so I don't expect our good men here to win, but we're going to go down fighting, that's for damn sure. We're going to take as many of them as we can with us. Give Savoys the best of chances we can. Get him! Get him! Come on now. I'm not sure what I would rather want. Effectively a spear or a sword in a fight like this. I think a spear. I mean, yeah. So my troops are already breaking there. I think the commander of my militia unit has died based on the message. Yeah. And there it goes. But we took a lot of that regiment with us, and that's a good regiment to take down. Looks like there's this Savoy unit fighting over here. It's looking pretty bleak. It's looking pretty bleak. There's some more reinforcements that they were holding in reserve coming down. And a lot of the French units seem to have lost cohesion, right? The Vizeret are chasing my regiment off the field. Others don't seem to be coordinating very well, so the French command has definitely lost control of their army in the huge melee and swirling battle that's happened. So that is to our advantage. I think overall Savoy's army has better cohesion. Not the mechanic, but the units are just closer together, so they're going to be able to fight more effectively. So the Musketeers of the Guard seem to have realized what's happened, and that the rest of the French units have kind of gone nuts, chasing down, routing enemies instead of fighting. Here goes Savoy's. Established the position there. So this looks like a 3v1, and some of there's still some fighting down in the down in the valley near the road. So those units are getting distracted by that Savoy regiment down there. And would you look at that? My regiment has come back, and the regiment Vizeret has broken. Maybe they got shot at somewhat, but my troops are back. Cohesion's bad. So I think at this point I'm kind of deciding what to do. I go forward and I march them at a walking pace so that I don't make their cohesion worse, because that has an effect on their morale. Again, militia, not great in terms of morale. Poor training, so they're not resistant to morale shocks, like getting hit in the back, or losing a bunch of troops in a volley or something like that. Line infantry are. So, you know, gotta be a little careful with them. Looks like the French army is regrouped, but so is the Savoy army, so we're going in for one last charge. France really lost its chance about 5 minutes ago when they took the top of the hill. Our troops were really in disarray, and they could have absolutely crushed us if they'd gone with some more. But now we're in one last fight, and frankly, we very much have the advantage because we have fresh troops and Savoy does not. Or we at least have some fresh troops. So right here, I spot the threat. Looks like the Vizeret regiment has come back to flank Savoy, and I can't allow this to happen. If they get a lot of flanking fire into that infantry regiment towards the center of the image, that's bad. So, as you can see, my guys want to flee. They're already wavering. So is the French unit. But we're gonna push him with bayonets here. It is actually the Musketeers of the Guard, not the Regiment Vizeret. But either way, we're gonna push in and give time for those last couple units, fresh units from Savoy, to close in on the hilltop. And overwhelm the French units. Here we go in on the charge. Yeah! And there we have it, and they break on contact. See that? There they go. So that was extremely good. Those Musketeers are a strong French unit. You can see the Savoyard pikes closing in on the hilltop behind. I'm going to regroup my troops here. They're going to hit the flank. That's a 2v1 against that regiment. And it looks like all of the reinforcements of the Savoy army have arrived. Regrouping my militia here. And we're going to keep moving forward. So, yeah, 2 French units left on the field versus 5 Savoy regiments and my militia regiment. I think we've got this handily at this point. It's just their general and the French grenadiers. That is precisely what grenadiers are good at. They have morale for days. They're the elite of any army. That is the whole point of them. They're damn good in a melee fight. They're decent shots. For anyone who doesn't know, a grenadier, well, originally they would throw grenades, but by this time period that we're in, that typically was no longer their function. Instead, they were kind of shock troops who were recruited from, you know, they basically were. They all had to be like 6 feet tall. They all had to be very strong. They were meant to exploit any gaps seen in the enemy line, really get in there, and with bayonets. They're very much the elite, and they were meant to exploit gaps, or force gaps sometimes, in the enemy line. Standing around shooting is not really what they were meant to do. The whole point was to use them at the right time, break the enemy line, put chaos in the ranks and disperse their army. You know, they had to be tough. They were trained very, very well, very, very thoroughly by all countries. Because you needed them to be very mentally tough to do a task like that. You know, one thing about warfare in this time, right? It's all line of sight. You know, communication within a single unit, like a regiment of 300 men, this is as far as how far can you yell, basically, or how loud can you drum, and to keep an infantry regiment safe from enemy cavalry, they had to stand in these lines. That's why they marched like this, and to keep them organized, they had to march in lines. So you can't just charge willy-nilly all disorganized. You gotta carefully walk your way to the enemy line while getting shot at. And that takes a lot of grit to do that. So you can see I'm saving the replay here. We have won the battle. The French Grenadiers finally broke. So I'll skip forward to show you the battle results. Hey folks, so here's the post-battle results. As you can see, Allied army took about 50% casualties, but we almost completely wiped out the French army. My militia unit actually did really well, 147 kills, which is actually very good for a militia regiment, all things considered. So that was an incredibly exciting fight. I think I'll wrap it up right about here, but I'll give a little final summary of how things are going. So there's a French army marching towards Turin through the Alps. Savoy's army is largely intact, thankfully. Of course, I have an army here in this fort and in Genoa. So we're going to reinforce the fortress army with the cavalry and the musketeers. We're going to march it close to Turin, just to make sure that we can support Savoy and keep them from falling. Additionally, Spain has marched into our territory with an army, so we are kicking them out. They will no longer have military access. I expect to be attacked by Spain very soon, so we need to eliminate this French army as soon as possible, so that we're not fighting on multiple fronts. Yeah, I mean, we're in a pretty tight spot. We don't have a lot of troops, and we really need to hold on to as much as we can. I'm hoping we can take Milan soon, but we have to wait until France pushes through. Anyway, thanks y'all for watching, and I will see you next time.